Well, the Lions' bye week is over. We are entering week 9, and they're about to take on a divisional rival. That was one of the epic games of last year's NFL season. We'll break it all down on this edition of Bleav in Lions. It's brought to you by FanDuel. I'm Trevor Thompson, 25 years deep here in the Motor City, covering your pro teams, and I'm joined by former Lions All-Pro safety and fan favorite Glover Quinn, who's going to kick us off today with his thoughts on the Lions versus the Vikings at Ford Field, 1 o'clock this coming Sunday. Guy, what are your thoughts when you're looking at this one? It was, like I said, one of the epic matchups in the final week of last year's regular season. What do you think coming into their first matchup against the Vikings this time around?
I think it's going to be the same thing. I think, division games are always like that. You can never look at a division game on the schedule and say, oh, there's going to be a blowout. It doesn't matter how bad they are, right? So it's been a division game. Looks like McCarthy is going to be back. So the Lions coming off a bye week. You're always interested to see how you come off of your bye. I think mature teams come back and they have a great week of practice and they hit the ground running. Sometimes you come back and you're a little sluggish and, it take you a week. I mean, not a week. Take you a quarter or so to get going, get back into the swing of things. So be interesting to see how the Lions come back. To be interesting to see who got healthy over the week off. And I know you look at it and say, oh, it's only a week. I mean, a week is a long time when you're talking about getting healthy because you're not having to do as much in practice on your off week, and then you can get more treatment. You have more time. You don't have to mentally think about a game and this and that. So a week off can do a lot for the body. So I'll be interested to see who comes back, who's healthier in that secondary. I think they'll get Kirby back, obviously having a week off of the knee. Brian will be back. He was just suspended for that one game. The corner situation is still a little iffy. But it'd be interesting to see how they come back and if the offense is still clicking. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs was hot in that last game. He probably didn't even want to go on a bye. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you're rolling and you're in that groove, you don't want to go on by. You don't want to stop playing. So be interesting to see how they come back out. And then, with Minnesota, I think Justin Jefferson, has loved playing against the Detroit Lions. He's always kind of had a pretty solid game against them. And then now with DJ Reed and, probably Terry Arnold band, now he's probably like, okay, we're going against, I would say backup type corner. So he probably know he's going to be getting double teamed all game. I don't think the Lions are going to try to leave anybody one-on-one with him for the most part. So every critical situation, he's probably going to get double teamed. They probably know that. And it's hard to do that when you got Addison on the other side that can make plays. And so it'll be a tough matchup. I think the fireworks between Minnesota and Detroit will continue. I think McCarthy will be, excited to get back. He's a Michigan alum, and so he'll be going. Is it in Detroit?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah. So he'll be going back to. Yeah, he'll be going back to Michigan. So I'm sure he'll be excited. Hasn't played in a while, been out with an injury. So I'm looking forward to be fireworks. I'm looking forward to be exactly like it was last year.
Man, that game last year was something else. They were both 14-2 rolling into the last week of the regular season. Everything on the line for the NFC North. The Lions got it done 31-9, back-to-back division champs. That Vikings team looks a lot different than this Vikings team that comes in 3-4 right now, and they've scored the fewest points in the division to this point in the regular season. They've had issues at quarterback. McCarthy, player of the week in week 1, then got hurt, and then they've had quarterback issues ever since then right now. But fact of the matter is the kid looks good. Dan Campbell says he's a winner, really appreciates what he does. But the fact of the matter is, GQ, he's only thrown 40 passes in the league right now. Defensively, you come in with a guy like that, not all that experience, really hasn't even got his feet wet in the NFL because of the injury situation so far this season in his early career. How do you attack this guy defensively if you're the Lions? You put pressure on him to throw the ball. Are they going to be conservative on their side and try to run it with Jones and Mason? What are your thoughts on how you attack them and how they counterattack offensively?
Well, I think they got to be careful in how they attack, because you got to think, the more pressure you put on him is the more pressure you put on your secondary. Because when you're blitzing, it means you're sending extra guys. And if you're sending extra guys, that means there's less guys in coverage. So now you having somebody one-on-one with Justin Jefferson. and that could be a problem. And so I think they got to be very careful how they attack him. But we got to understand. I mean, this guy's a talented quarterback. He's a first round type of guy. You know what I'm saying? So he can play the game. He may not have gotten a lot of reps. You say week one, he was player of the week, right? So he got some talent. He can throw the ball and he got weapons. You know, if he got his wide receivers healthy, got his running backs healthy, I think they'll do a good job of not putting the pressure on him and trying to run the ball a little bit. But I don't think they're gonna shy away from throwing the ball. And I think they understand that, hey, if they come after us, we're gonna have favorable matchups with our receivers, right? With Justin Jefferson and I think his name Addison.
Yeah, Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison, right? Yeah, we're gonna have some favorable matchups, and so I don't think they are, worried about that. I think they feel like McCarthy can make the throws. We've seen what he can do, so I think from the line standpoint, they got to do a good job of mixing it up, not giving pre-snap looks to where it makes it easy for him. I don't know if you just come out and be blitz happy the whole time. I think you got to do a good job of mixing in some blitzes, mixing in some zones, mixing in some mans, making things look similar, even though they're different. That's the kind of game I always like to play. I make things look the same, even though they're different.
Right.
And if they do that, I think they could get a couple. They always seem to get some turnovers at home. And his teammate Aidan, I'm sure he played with Aidan a little bit, so I'm sure Aidan be happy to get some pressure and a couple
meet him up
sacks.
close and personal all over again.
Right. So they can get reunited.
Right.
So yeah, I think the Lions mix it up. I think Kevin will be aggressive to an extent, but also conservative in it to an extent, because you don't want Justin Jefferson to get going and have a big day. He's going to make some plays, but you don't want him to have a big day. So like I say, I think somebody's going to be doubling Justin, which is going to put a lot of pressure on the other guy, because Addison can play as well. And so it'd be real interesting to see how the injuries in the secondary affect how Kelvin calls the game and what they can do to put pressure and confuse McCarthy.
Yeah. The same could be said on the other side of the ball defensively with the Vikings, and Brian Flores defensively, what he likes to do with his guys as a defensive guy. You must really appreciate the different looks that they throw and the different ways that they come at you. And you talk about they'll make it look the same, but it's not the same with what they try to do over there. Talk about what you'd like about their defense and how they'll be a problem for the Lions here at home in this one, especially with
Flores. Yeah, well, Flores has always been a good defensive guy. In Minnesota, they've always except for that last game, they've always given a pretty good defensive effort against the Lions, I feel like. And they like to do, that mug up where they putting everybody on the line, and they blitzing sometimes and sometimes they're not, and different guys are popping out, and Harrison Smith has been there for a while, and he kind of controls that secondary, although I don't think he's moving or playing as well as he has in the past. He's gotten older. He's probably in year 13 now, something like that, maybe even longer than that. So I like what Flores does. He's very aggressive in his play calling. The corner Isaiah Rodgers has been playing great, forcing a lot of turnovers. Had that one big game where he had pick six and a forced fumble before a touchdown. Had 2 touchdowns in the game. Then he come back, I think, last week and had another pick six or something like that. I saw. So I'm pretty sure he's coming in the game real confident right now. Problem is he's an outside defender, and the Lions don't make as much money on the outside. They make money on the inside,
Right.
So he'll probably be on Jameson or Tesla, who's ever on the outside, and they don't get many targets, in my opinion. I don't know if he moves to the inside where Amon's at and Laporta and those guys. So that's where the Lions make their money, inside of the numbers. They don't make as much on the outside. So that could be a factor with limiting Isaiah Rodgers. But I like what Flores does. He's always been a pretty good defensive coordinator, and the Minnesota Vikings respond well with his play calling and what they like to do. And so I think the Lions have a good feel for what he's going to do. and come out and attack. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have to get going, but I'm looking for a big game for David Montgomery. He's been quiet for a little while, and even though the Cincinnati game he had the touchdown and the throwing touchdown and the rushing touchdown, he still didn't have big numbers. I think the last time he had big numbers was probably against Baltimore. I think it was when he kind of was running right downhill, right? I think it was Baltimore. He had a lot of runs. That was week 3. We're in week 9 now, so I'm looking for a big game from David Montgomery.
When it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs, though, last year in that final game of the season, 139 yards on the ground, 3 TDs. I mean, the guy ran wild as the Lions put up 31 points. FanDuel this time around has the Lions a point total at 29.5 for their over-under coming into this one. What do you think of that number as far as the Lions offense against this Vikings defense coming in?
I got to take the over just because, at home the Lions are electric. I will say that. They are electric. So
they are.
Yeah, and they put up numbers. They put up numbers at home. So 30 points at home, I think they can do that. And that's been the thing. The defense plays well at home, but the offense plays so much better that it puts a lot of pressure on the other teams. And they're gonna score 30 points. I mean, unless they don't show up, unless they still on vacation, they're gonna score 30 points. I gotta feel like
you don't expect that though, right? You don't expect anybody to be on vacation the way you've talked about the maturity of this team all season long.
No. I think they're gonna come back ready to go.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna come back ready to go. I think the guys are primed. They're ready to go. They know this right here. See, the way the schedule works out for Detroit, and this is the great thing about it. When you get that middle of the season bye week, they get lucky, right? Because you get to kind of get on a roll and play 7 or 8 games in a row, right? You don't get 4 or 5 games and then you get a bye week, right? You get a good 7 or 8. So you get a chance to kind of get on the roll and get the feel of the season. Then you get a bye week, right? Well, then the good thing about the Lions, they always play on Thanksgiving. So now you got like a 4-game stretch where you just kind of got to tough it out for 4 games, right? You break your season down. Hey, we got about 4 weeks before Thanksgiving. So boom, let's see if we can go on another little 4-game, 3-1, 4. Like let's go. Right. So you come in and you lock in and you go to Thanksgiving and then you get another little mini bye, right? Because you play on Sunday and then you get a light week of work. You play on Thanksgiving, then you get a weekend off, and then you come back the next. Well, I think they're going Thursday this year, but it'll work out to where you end up getting a little time off, right? So I think the Lions right now come back and they know they got the stretch run to Thanksgiving and they're going to be locked in, head down, ready to go.
I'm really looking forward to this one, especially from the standpoint of the division rivalry. Like we talked about, you can throw out the records, forget that the fact that the Vikings are 3-4 coming into this one, the Lions are 5-2 coming into this one. What did you feel when you go into a matchup like this with a division rival, whether it's the Packers or the Bears or the Vikings? How much more do the juices flow? If you can just talk about that from a player perspective, especially coming off a bye and you are revved up and ready to get back at it.
Well, the juices flow. I mean, you're going to be at home, and the Lions are going to be back in action. The juices flow. I mean, when it's the division game, it's more so like the division is the black and blue division, right? So you just know it's going to be a tough game. It's not like you're getting up for a Monday night game like the Ravens, right? That was a different feel. This game is it's a division game. The Vikings are going to play tough. The type of game is going to be. It's not like they're getting up for a playoff game, or it won't be like that. But it'll be a divisional game. And I think Minnesota is in a situation where they're right where they want to be. I feel like it. I mean, their guy that they had as their starting quarterback that was the player of the week 1, it's been hurt for the last 6 weeks. And they find themselves at 3-4, I think they like that because, like I say, you look at the next 4 games and you go on the roll. The Lions, we've already said that the Lions got a tough schedule going down that backstretch. They got a tough schedule, and Minnesota's like, we got to play the Lions twice
after the Vikings, and they took them out last year in the playoffs, so it doesn't get easier.
Right, and so the Vikings are like, we still got to play the Detroit Lions twice. Right. So if we can beat them on the road in Detroit and then we'll come back on Christmas or around Christmas time. I
Christmas
think they play
Day.
on Christmas.
Yep, they play on
And
Christmas.
now we got them at home, right? So I mean, the Lions are what, 5-2?
Yep.
5-2, and in Minnesota's 3-4. So that's 2 games. I think Minnesota feels like, hey, we done got our quarterback back. We done, withstood a couple injuries early in the season. And now it's the time for us to go on a mid-season, like 4 or 5 game stretch where we can go from 3-4 to 8-4 and be right where we want to be going down that last half. So I think Minnesota is feeling good about themselves, and I think they're going to come in and put a lot of pressure on Justin Jefferson to have a big game with the Lions banged up secondary. Even though he's getting double teamed, they're going to put the pressure on Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to have a big game and try to exploit that secondary, because the Bengals, their wide receivers were hurt as well. So it wasn't like the Bengals could go out there with their top guys, then Mike Evans get hurt during the game. I think Minnesota's going to come in and say, hey, we got our quarterback back, we got our receivers, we're going to test this young secondary and see if these guys can hold up against our guys. So I'll be interested to see how the Lions try to counter that with coverages and then pressure from the guys up front.
You talked about Separation Sunday a few weeks ago, and right after I do this little commercial, I want to talk to you about a month of Separation Sundays coming up, because it seems like they really do separate themselves in the month of November. We're going to get to that in just a second. But for right now, I want to remind you about Delete Me, because Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Data brokers make a profit off of your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. But you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. The New York Times Wirecutter has named Delete Me their top pick for data removal services. As someone who's active online, privacy is certainly important to me, and I know it is to you as well out there listening. So if you've never been a victim of identity theft, harassment, or doxing, you probably do know someone who has in these days and times, and Delete Me can certainly help. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. You can get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro and use the promo code PRO at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/pro, enter the code PRO at checkout. That is joindeleteme.com/pro, code PRO. These are going to be some very big games coming up in the month of November, and you really do get separation here, and wins and losses just seem to be magnified coming at this time of the year. So when you're coming up to Thanksgiving, when you're coming into November, how does the mind of an athlete or a football player in these situations change?
Well, for teams that are, season playoff type teams, this right here is that time where you kind of start slowly switching it over into gear, because you come out early in the season and you're playing games, and we all know that you're playing games, but it's a long season, right? So the season is like a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know what I'm saying? It's a marathon. It's a long season. So you don't want to pace yourself too slow, but you also don't want to come out and shoot your wad and be done after 4 weeks, right? So teams kind of try to come out and play well and win games, but you ramp it up as the season goes, because you want to be playing your best ball down the stretch. Come November, December, you want to be playing your best ball, because these are the games that's going to separate you. Like all these teams right now, like we're saying, 3-4, 5-2, 4-4, all right up in that mix right there. So now is the time where teams start getting the separation. Are the Lions going to be able to get to 9-2? Or are they going to be at 6-3, 4 or 5? You know what I'm saying? Like, are they going to be able to win some of these tough games and give some of these other team losses, or are they gonna split and go, now they're 7-4, but Minnesota go on the run, right? So this right here is that time where the good teams kind of slowly start to get into playoff mode. And I think the Lions understand that going down this back stretch, they're gonna have to play good football week in and week out. And that's good, because it gets you ready for the playoffs. You don't get to cruise into the playoffs. You really got to play, because you're playing tough teams, and it's a mentality thing. It's a mentality. And when you got to show up every week against top opponents to win those games, it's going to take more than just you going out and beating them, because you're going to have to be mentally locked in every single day. And that gets draining. And getting up for a big game every week. And even the game, I think they got the Giants in there. I mean, the young
Yep, the
quarterback is
Giants.
playing. The young quarterback is playing well, and Scatterboo got hurt, but he got a different energy in there. So the Lions are going to have to really be locked in every week, and I think that's going to help them going down the stretch for the playoff run. But coming back from the bye, looking at the Thanksgiving break, looking at the 4 or 5 games that they got, that's where the focus has to be, and it starts this week with Minnesota.
You talked about David Montgomery, and you want to see more utilization there. There's another guy you've talked about that you think is going to get utilized a little bit more, and that's Jameson Williams. Dude, we need to see more JMO. I'm looking at this right now. Do you know he's got 17 receptions on the year, tied for 120th in the league going into week 9? If I had told you that going into week 1, that's where he'd be at this point of the season, what would your reaction have been?
I would have been probably like, nah, I wouldn't have believed it. I'd have felt like he'll have more than that. 8 games, 17 catches. I mean, it's 2 catches a game, right? I mean, they played
only 2
TDs
games on the season at this point too. And you think that offense would sort of utilize him more the way they're so explosive and spread the ball around, but just 2 TDs so far too.
Yeah, they haven't been able to get, him over the top. And I was telling somebody, I was like, we don't hear much from JMO, and we don't know if he's disgruntled or not. But I mean, this is the first year of 85 mil. Like,
Yeah,
I'd be chilling too.
might
Like,
soothe his pain.
they keep me quiet for a little while. Man, I get 85 mil, right? I'm staying healthy, and maybe I catch fire down the stretch, right? Like,
he's going to be accounted for at some point this season. It has to happen. He's just.
He's one of those guys that defensively you have to understand that he can go from 0 to 80 real quick, right?
Pop anytime.
Those are the guys that you fear. And I talk about this a lot of time with people outside of the podcast, because everybody be trying to look at these receivers, and it's nothing against some of these guys. It's not like they're not good, but there's certain guys that make you account for them or change the game plan for them. Right? Like when you look at Amon,
absolutely.
When you look at Amon, there's probably not a lot of coaches that go into the game plan saying that we have to blah, blah, blah for Amon. They're going to the individual that's going to be covering Amon and say, hey, man, you got to really lock in this week, because Amon's going to be deceptive. He's going to block. He's going to block. So you can't take a play off with him. We're not rolling the coverage to be this. Yeah, they might double team every now and then, but for the most part, you're going to have to just go to work, right? Because when you look at Amon, when he have his best games, he's 10, 12 catches for 120, right? He don't have a lot of games where he's 3 catches for 120. So you're like, hey, they're going to have to throw him the ball 10 times to get 100 yards. We can win with that. That's okay. We don't want JMO to get 2 catches for 100 yards.
Because he's probably scoring on one of them.
Right. Those are 50. Those are big plays.
Yeah,
those are going like Amon's going to make you drive down the field and really execute. JMO is, hey man, we kick the ball off, yada yada yada. We run out there, and it's 1st and 10. They play action. Now is touchdown, strike up the band, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying that Amon can't do that. They just don't utilize Amon like that. So you don't go in a game expecting that. Yeah, can he catch a slant and take it? I mean, he caught the dig route, last game, and scored a 30-something yard touchdown, right? He can do that. But that's not what you're going to the game thinking from Amon. That's all you think from J-Mo, right? If we can get J-Mo to have 10 catches for 100 yards, we feel like we won.
Oh, yeah, he's going off.
Right? But if J-Mo have 10 catches, he's probably going to have 250 yards.
Yeah, he's going to have a big day.
And you're losing that game.
And that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Right. So he's one of those guys that is going to always be accounted for. We got to always make sure that he's not getting in situations where he can beat us over the top. Because if he beats us over the top, now that starts to put pressure on everybody. The run game, the underneath coverage, everybody feels when a guy like J-Mo takes the top off the defense. That's why those guys are so important to an offense.
So offensively speaking, the total over under on this game for both teams coming in, according to the FanDuel odds right now, is 47.5, and the Lions come in giving 8.5. Those kind of numbers say what to you?
I've been on FanDuel all week. I mean, all year.
Yeah.
Come on, FanDuel.
You scratch your head every week. But I wonder what they say to you.
We start the game out 8-0.
And when they post these kind of numbers, yeah.
Give
me 8.5, 47.5, over under total. And I already told you that they're over under for the Lions total points,
right,
49.5. So
right. So they're looking for the Lions to be 30-something to 17.
10 points better.
31-17. I like it. I like it, FanDuel. If I was betting on it, probably not. That's tough. +8 on a division game, that's tough, especially against Minnesota. I mean, they're going to look at what Minnesota did last year, the last game of the season, but they're also going to say, hey, that was Sam Darnold, right? They got J.J. McCarthy back. He's going back to Michigan, and he's a national champion, and he's going to be fired up to get back. He hasn't played in a while. They're going to, the Lions secondary is banged up, and they got Justin Jefferson is healthy. They got Addison is healthy. They got, the Minnesota offense is healthy, and they're going to be ready to go, right? The defense is going to hold up and slow them down a little bit, and it's going to be a close game. So +8, that's tough. All right, can Minnesota score 24 points and the Lions score 31 and they win 31-24? But did they cover the spread? All right, so if I was betting on it, it'd be tough to take that with the Lions being +8. I'll have to probably bet for the Vikings. That's why I don't bet. That's why I don't bet, because I can't go against my soul for the money. I just can't do that. I just can't bet for the Vikings. I can't bet that the Lions are not going to cover. Freaking hey, how you do that? How do you do that? I can't do it. But yeah, I think the Lions will cover. 31-17 sounds like a good score. I think maybe
17. You talked about Justin Jefferson, you talked about Jordan Addison, but we haven't even talked about TJ Hawkinson or Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason. These guys are good football players and really help give that offense different looks and need to be accounted for. But yet their over-under is only 19.5 points for them coming in against the Lions. I think they're a better offense than that. I guess they're giving a lot of credit to the Lions defense, but I think it's really going to play out in a little bit of a different way as far as that's concerned, because like I said, those guys need to be accounted for. TJ Hawkinson is a beast. Aaron Jones is getting a little older, but the guy is effective. And Jordan Mason, he's the number one back there right now as far as I'm concerned. And so you got two lethal running backs. I really like their offense coming in. I think they're going good for more than the 17 you're giving them or the 19.5 that FanDuel's giving them. I think it's going to be a very interesting game and could be high scoring. That's just my take.
I mean, you could be right. I think the Lions defense plays pretty well at home. And I think, we saw that last performance on Monday Night Football, right? We saw that last performance and the Lions defense played well. And so I think that goes into it. I think they feel like the Lions are going to play well. Obviously, like I said, they know they're going to have to stop Justin Jefferson. TJ Hawkinson's coming back to Detroit, and I don't know if he played there long enough for it to be like, you know what I'm saying? But he's coming back. Right, he's coming back, and I'm pretty sure every time he comes back, he wants to play well in Detroit. Like, that's the team that drafted me, and then they traded me. So yeah, I want to come back and play well against these guys. Aaron Jones has been doing it for a while. This is probably the healthiest Minnesota's offense has been in a while, getting JJ back, and you got the running backs and you got the wide receivers and you got your tight end. So yeah, I think they're gonna be able to put some points up, but the Lions defense just plays so well at home. And I think 17, I think the over under at 19 is good. I think that's good. And like I said, I think 31-17 is a legitimate score for those guys. Like I say, the Lions beat those guys in a winner take all game last year at home, and the Lions were banged up at the end of the season. We all know how injured they were. They didn't have Aidan Hutchinson putting pressure on the quarterback. Aidan's gonna be back. Like, these guys are gonna be fired up, ready to go. They haven't played in the 2 weeks. They're gonna be ready to go. So I expect the Lions defense to be on fire. Brian Branch is going to be excited to be back out there. Suspended last game. He's going to have something to prove, and he's been so close to turnovers and interceptions this year. He's dropped a couple and had, penalties on some. Like, he's going to be ready to get his hands on a turnover to this game. So I'm looking for the Lions defense to show up and show out. And I think 31-17, 30 something. Like, I like that number.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with it.
I'm going to keep that score in mind, and the Lions are certainly going to be fired up. You know who else is going to be fired up? All the fans at Ford Field who are chomping at the bit after that bye week, ready to see some football and the division matchup against the Vikings. They know what happened last year on their home turf. They're ready for some more of that. And according to you, that score is going to be favorable to them. So they are going to be like rabid dogs in Ford Field. Can't wait to see it this Sunday coming up. What's your final thought to leave the folks with as we get ready to depart on this edition of Bleav in Lions?
I mean, will it be too late to wear Halloween costumes to the game on Sunday, even though Halloween is Friday?
No.
Now you're into November.
I don't think so.
All right, so the fans are going to be fired up. The fans are going to have their costumes on. It's going to be scary. It's going to be scary in Ford Field.
They're going to live with the theme.
Yeah, it's going to be scary in Ford Field on Sunday. It's going to be rocking. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a beautiful day, and I think the Lions show up. I think they show up and they take a stranglehold on the division, at least from Minnesota, put them back at 3-5 now, and the Lions go up 6-2, and really just them in Green Bay. I think the Lions take care of business. I think the Lions play well. I think they cover. I think they do everything that they're supposed to do coming off of that bye, and I think they're going to start their stretch to Thanksgiving on a high note.
31-17. GQ has called his shot. We'll see just how close he is when we review the Lions and the Vikings in Week 9 on our next edition of Bleav in Lions, brought to you by FanDuel.